Hello, my name is Keith Nuthall, and I am the CEO of Bostonia Global. Bostonia Global is a new charter school in the Cajon Valley Union School District. And we have news. Cajon Valley will be opening a new high school next year with 125 freshmen and 60 sophomores. I've had the fortune of opening two other high schools in my career. And what I've learned in that is that first group of students that opens a high school and then travels through that journey for 4 years sets the traditions and rituals in that school, the culture in that school. And that sets a legacy for generations to come. So when they come back to school 5, 10, 15 years later, they're going to see some of the same rituals and traditions still there in that school. Not many people get that chance to leave a legacy in their community. I'm an experienced school designer. I've opened a school in the Paramount Unified School District, Odyssey STEM Academy, in the Escondido High School District, Del Lago Academy, and I was the director of high school renewal in the San Diego City Schools. I have a passion for reimagining high school to make it more meaningful for our young people. Our mission in Cajon Valley, happy kids, healthy relationships on a path to gainful employment. This is the cornerstone of our work and the design of our new school. So why do we bring a new school to Cajon Valley? Why do we bring a new high school to Cajon Valley? You see, Cajon Valley is nationally recognized for their World of Work program, their TEDx experience, and so many other things that personalize learning for young people. So we're looking to expand and give opportunity for those elementary and middle school students to go to a high school that holds those same ideals. And so our concept here is we want our graduates from Bostonia High School to live lives of their own design. I want to stop for a second and show you a little bit of data about the design and of the learning model that we're using at Bostonia Global, because that model is proven and it's been tested over a 25-year period. Bostonia Global is using a model connected to a school network called Big Picture Learning. This particular school model has been around for 25 years, and it's in 200 schools worldwide. And there's been a longitudinal study that's tracked the graduates from these schools over a 15-year period. Just recently, they produced another report about this particular learning model, this high school learning model. And it says graduates were equally likely to enroll in college, regardless of their race, gender, or parents' level of education. And you see, the lack of disparities is unprecedented. And so other school models don't have the research to back this up. But the big picture learning model and the model that we're putting in Bostonia Global is proven. So here are the two schools that I opened over the past 10 years. And here's a little bit of data. So the first data point that I want to speak to is this idea of UC A to G, the upper left corner here in the slide. You see 80% of the students at Odyssey and Del Lago qualify for admissions into the University of California. That number for other schools statewide is half of that, 40 to 50%. 100% of our students graduate. 80% of our students met the literacy standard on the state test for 11th graders. That's 30% higher than the state average. 44% met or exceeded standards in math. And while that 44% doesn't look like a big percentage across the state, this is actually very strong data. 95% of the students serve an internship. 60% of students attend and pass community college coursework. Less than 2% students are suspended because they like being in school. And 85% of families are engaged, highly engaged in their students' learning. So this is the type of data that gives us rationale for bringing this model to Bostonia Global High School. So how do we work together to make that happen? Well, first of all, we hold the unwavering belief in learner infinite potential. We take time to build meaningful relationships. We tap into students' learning interests, strengths, and values, and then we use that to co-construct learning experiences with the learners, with the students. And we value learning inside and outside the school. Families are engaged in the learning process. So these 6 ideals aren't for some students, they're for each and every student. And so that's how you make big impact. That's how you create a school that's life-changing. And these are the elements that we will bring to Bostonia Global High School. So I'm going to go through a week in a student's life so you can get a sense of what that looks like. On Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, what you'll notice about this schedule is that there's bookends on the beginning and the end of the day. And those bookends are known as advisory. Advisory is a group of about 20 students, 15 to 20 students, with a teacher advisor. And that group follows from grade 9 all the way to grade 12. So your young person is known well on campus by a group of people. During the day, there's a big chunk of time that's connected to project work. You see, young people in high school want to do meaningful, deep work. And so this project work provides them with the opportunity to really go deep and learn in a way that ignites their curiosity and connects them to the learning. In the afternoon, interactive math gives students an opportunity to explore big data sets and the opportunity to apply their mathematics. And then that small group workshop time, that's where we work very diligently at student literacy, because you see reading and writing is still the #1 job skill. And then we end the day with advisory. So Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays look a little different than they might in a traditional high school, but it's very intentional. So I'm going to show you a couple of videos that'll give you a sense of what some of these elements look like. The first video I'll show is a video about advisory.
If you look at the whole big picture as one big thing, it's gonna be like, looks super scary. But if you take it like piece by piece, you can get through it. Having the same advisor for 4 years, they get in a relationship with someone that's not just a teacher, a real person, being able to be an important part of their lives. And you see the maturity level that they take, and you see them change. You see the growth in them. It's stressful, lots of stuff going on, it happens. But you got it, girl, you got it, you're smart.
Advisory is a small group of students, 15 typically, with an advisor. They stay with that advisor for 4 years. The advisor speaks a lot on the behalf of the student to community members or internships. The advisor's in constant communication with the parents. Anything that happens with that student, it's like it happens with you.
I'm doing poetry, songwriting, a short story. That's another thing that I'm pretty iffy about when it comes to.
So in that, just think about what gives you the best case scenario to be successful.
Advisory gives us a chance to work on all of our schoolwork from the day, and our advisor, he will sit down with us and actually take the time to work one-on-one with us and make sure that we have what we need.
The most important thing in 9th grade advisory from day one is setting what the culture will be like, teaching them how to manage their time, their projects, due dates, syllabuses, reflecting, journaling. We do that every day. That happens at the very beginning. So whatever I'm doing that I want them to kind of take with them all 4 years. It's something I model every day.
Don't forget your reflections due Friday.
Yeah, Mr. Brown just talking about
You talked about it today, good.
Because of the relationships that you build within the advisory, people feel comfortable saying, hey, this is what you've done well in, and these are some things that you should work on, because they will help you be better. When a student can relate and they know that you care, that makes a big difference.
Just make sure you do the tracking for these 2 weeks. And if it were me, I might pick somebody in here who will hold you accountable and make sure that they check in with you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Advisory is important because you can have people that will always help you, people that always support you, but if you fail, then they'll be there to pick up the pieces and help me.
Advisory is so fundamental because as they move forward, they see it as a family. They see it as people they can trust.
Everything good?
Yeah, everything's fine.
Okay, mom's good.
Mm-hmm.
Has anybody called home and said, Zadie is killing it, Zadie is doing so much better? No. Okay, I need to do that. We have a very open and honest relationship, and really there's nothing off limits. And I like to take that approach because I know at the end of the day that I know the real student. Okay, y'all, let's get it started. Let's get it jumping. Every first Friday, we pick a menu, and every person has a responsibility. They bring in their food, and we eat together, and we hang together, and we laugh together. Robert, the lasagna's good. Thank you. Did your mom make it? I made it. What? That's just my way of bringing them all back to this space and refocusing our energy and hitting home the idea that we're a unit and we're moving forward.
We've grown so close from freshman year, and whenever we have a personal issue or school-related issue, we talk together as a class, and we try to help each other out all the time.
Make sure that you look at your exhibition date and time and put that in your phone and tell your parents about it.
He has given me the foundation to go out on my own and be able to succeed in the everyday life. He's given me tools and wisdom that nobody else is giving me.
You don't really realize the impact you have on students until you really spend a lot of time with them, you know, and you see the growth in them.
And what about, how do you feel?
I'm happy that my grades are better.
Okay. I have this fulfillment at the end of the line, and you see this finished work. You understand the growth that was achieved, and they understand that, and that's what makes the journey worth doing. You feel like you got it now?
Yes.
Excellent.
Really?
So relationships matter, and advisory serves as a place for your student to be known well by an advisor and by a group of students. So when we think about 100% graduation rate, 80% students able to apply to a university because they've met the requirements, it's because nobody falls between the cracks. And advisory is that tool that we use to make sure that happens. Let's take a little bit of a look at what a project looks like. Projects that are on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays vary. This particular project we'll show here is a makerspace project, but we'll have an environmental sustainability complex on campus that is a greenhouse, aquaponics, so students are actually growing food and serving their community. We'll have projects that are around black box theater, science-oriented projects around pollution on the San Diego River as an example. And so projects that are designed each 12 weeks with the students in the design process. And so they pick a project, students pick a project that they feel best fits their interest. And then the next 12 weeks, we do the same thing. And so each 12-week period or each trimester, new projects are offered, and students pick the projects that they feel are, you know, the most connected, that they can most connect with. So let's take a look at what a makerspace will look like at Odyssey STEM Academy, at Bostonia Global. So students gain some tremendous skills, some computer skills, laser cutting skills, engineering skills, architecture skills, coding through the project work that they do. But again, projects are not only limited to makerspace projects, they're really, very broad, and students find their interest in them and they help design them as well. So if you look at a college transcript from Bostonia High School, you're going to see the transcript looks very similar to a transcript at a traditional high school. You see, when your student goes to apply to that four-year university, we need to make sure that they're competitive. And so each one of the projects that the students work on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we crosswalk that particular, those particular learnings back to these courses, so that the transcript doesn't really look any different, because in those projects, students are reading and writing and earning language arts credit. They're connecting around the history of that particular project for social science credit. They're doing some interactive mathematics. They're doing some science work. And so we take that project work, it's highly engaging for students, and then we transfer it over to a transcript that looks pretty similar to any transcript for a high school across the country. We've had students at my two schools that I've opened before using this learning model that are currently attending colleges all over the country. This happens to be colleges that are connected to the state of California, but we have students that are in colleges throughout the United States and internationally as well. So the next piece of the program here is different than many traditional high schools. And what we do is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, our young people actually aren't on campus. So they don't come to Bostonia Global High School. They're working with a mentor in the community. And we teach the freshmen how to go about finding that mentor. And so that process is a life skill that everybody needs. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, in the freshman and sophomore year, students are working with mentors. So in the picture here, this particular student is working with a mentor that's in the background at a VW restoration store. And the reason why is because this particular student's interests are around cars. So we find out what the student's interests are. Maybe it's law, maybe it's engineering, maybe it's healthcare. And we connect them with a mentor in the community, and they work side by side with them in the freshman year for 12 weeks, but in the sophomore, junior, and senior year, it can be all year. And then they take that learning that's not on campus and they bring it back with them. And that's what they read and write and research about. And so this idea empowers young people, and they really change when they're out having to be responsible with a mentor. So when students are off campus, they're doing that internship piece. In the junior or senior year, students may choose to elect to not have a mentor, but actually go to community college. So for example, in my school in LA and Odyssey STEM Academy, 60% of the juniors were taking college coursework. So rather than having AP classes at Bostonia Global, what we do is we place students right in college classwork, because that's the gold standard. When students are back on campus on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's because they're transitioning, trying to find a new mentor, or they're transitioning to different college work. So let's take a look at what a internship looks like. This particular internship is an internship where a student is, seeking to be a veterinarian.
Being with our students for 4 years, we get to learn about their interests, their academic strengths, needs, and passions really help guide where we place our students at their internships.
We put so much emphasis into our internship program because of the fact that the real world hands-on learning is a key component to most of my students' learning. Make sure that I have them. First of all, what I like to know is what do they want to be when they grow up? So I have them make a list, and then we go through a career inventory, and they have to do their own personality exams. And I use online programs that are free so the kids can access it at any time. Then let the computer tell them what they think that they're interested. And then they do a comparison. I need all your personal project researching. Then they start researching different careers. Once they've received some information, they figure out how much schooling it takes, how much it costs. So we have a criteria that we follow to make sure that they're taking the right steps towards the ultimate goal.
You know, as a kid, everybody wants to be a vet at some point. I just kept it with me. And then in high school, I told the internship coordinator. She looked at my end goal and what I wanted to be. And then she gave me an internship to work towards the end goal.
Nathan originally started just loving pets. So we put him in a doggy daycare.
So I could learn like techniques and how to hold the dog and behaviors.
So collaborating with his family, with our internship coordinator, and with Nathan, we came up with him going to a veterinary clinic. With his experience and extensive resume, he interviewed for the position and he was granted the position just based off of his previous internships and his skills and background working with animals.
The internship coordinator took what I wanted to do in the end and gave me the experience to get to what I wanted to do. And I'm learning the medical aspect of the side of the veterinary field now.
If there's not a good fit, they are allowed to change, look at different internships to kind of find their niche and see what they like and what they don't like. I know for years you've been interested in the human medical field.
Parents know who their children are, and a school engaging families is real different than just telling parents who they think their children are. That's real different.
Here is halfway through the healing process. See, the stitches are out.
It's a lot of work. When you're out there prospecting, you might be cold calling, really dipping into the community, because as soon as you place one student, there's another one ready to move on. So it's constant evolution.
It gave me the opportunity to see that this is actually what I want to do.
Teaching them all those skills and focusing on the internship really gets them thinking, but it also makes them the decision maker in their future.
Okay, Bonnie.
So why open a high school in Cajon Valley? Well, a big reason is because the World of Work program in the elementary and middle schools in Cajon Valley will set the students up for these internship opportunities like no other. I've had the opportunity to place hundreds of students into internships. I can't wait to get the elementary and middle school students coming to Bostonia Global High School, and with all of that experience, being able to launch them into this next phase of the world of work, which is actually working with a mentor in the community. The last piece I'll talk about is the idea of family engagement. We want families engaged in the school in the learning process. So that means every 12 weeks, every trimester throughout the school year, we pause and we bring in families. This is a picture of a family at Odyssey STEM Academy, my school up in LA. And they sit and the student has to present what they've learned in those 12 weeks. And the families and the advisor and other students provide that student with feedback. And so this is an opportunity for students to what I call have to stand and deliver. And this draws in families into the work and connects them with the advisor and connects them more deeply with the learning that their student is doing. So every 12 weeks we pause and we have what we call trimester exhibitions. In my past schools, 85% of parents participate. That's a really big number for a high school because they're connected. Families are connected to that learning. The last, when your student's a senior, they go through what we call a defense. And actually for them to graduate, that that activity, that trimester exhibition, they're really showing that they're ready for college, career, technical school, or military. And so that becomes almost like an exit exam. So family engagement, different. Let's get the families on campus and having them, really understand the learning that's going on with their student. So I'm going to talk about the last part of the presentation is around that the new school is for anyone. So there's no admission criteria. We don't look at students' grades. We don't look at their behavioral record. You don't have to fill out an essay or take a test. If you're interested in this type of learning, we'd like to work with you at Bostonia Global High School. A couple things to keep in mind is it the right fit for my child? Well, we believe in the infinite potential of your young person, and we're going to work with them to believe in themselves as well. This idea of them being their best possible self, putting them out into an internship, means that they have to trust us and we have to trust them. The pathway that we provide for them is interest-based. So every single student on campus has their own pathway. Student ideas are critical to this work, creating and making a difference. We don't track students. So remember, if we believe in the infinite potential of all students, we wouldn't group them and say, these students get these experiences and these students don't. So we don't track them. Collaboration is something that is, Wednesday, Thursday, especially on Wednesdays, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, is important. So your student will be doing a lot of collaboration, and the school environment is small. So 500 students when the school is full, 125 students per grade level. What that means is your student can't hide. And with advisory, they don't fall through the cracks. So if this is the type of learning you're looking for, then the Bostonia Global High School is a good fit for your family. What I haven't talked about is school spirit and fun and those kinds of things. We have really wonderful opportunities for young people to start clubs that are of their own interest. We have Spirit Week, we have dances, we have ASB, prom, homecoming, all of that. The nice thing about being part of a small school is all students have input in what that looks like. We have extensive college and career counseling. What we don't have at Bostonia High School is athletics. So we won't have a football team, a basketball team, or a baseball team. However, if your child plays soccer, sometimes there are club sports in the community that are actually where colleges go and recruit students anyway. They don't use high school sports. We don't have formal programs like a marching band or an orchestra. However, during an internship, it doesn't mean you can't spend your time with someone that that plays instruments or that conducts orchestra. So we can embed it, but we don't have a formal program. Some quick facts: applications are due in the middle of February 17th. You have to be hand delivered to the district office, long-term planning office. Please don't submit them to the middle schools in town for fear that they get lost. The student criteria, there's no criteria. If you're interested, please join us. The applications are available at the school sites. One was sent home to every family. And the number of students that will be enrolled is 125 freshmen and 60 sophomores. Next year, the school will be located in some classrooms that are being wonderfully renovated next to Emerald Middle School. The application process, once you submit your application, if we have more than 125 freshmen or 60 sophomores, we will do a random lottery. There'll be a mandatory family meeting. And then after that, you'll signal that you're coming to our school by sending us what we call a letter of intent. I'm coming. And those students are enrolled. If someone decides not to come, then we go to a waiting list and we pull a student in and invite them to join us.
For more information, contact Karen Luque.